Hello to everybody. Welcome to week 13 and the IDP Plus Start Sit Show. We already have a bunch of questions coming in. This is awesome to see all those people that pre-drop our show here at IDP Plus. My name is Michael Sicoli. I'm back this week, joined as always by Ricky Rodriguez and Sean Teague at RickyRod66 and at Sean8386, the two lovely, handsome gentlemen to my left right here. Ricky, how are you doing? Yeah. You could take a look on the other side. I was obviously talking about Sean. How you doing, Ricky?
I'm doing fantastic. Can you believe, folks, it's already week 13, basically 13 and 14 before our playoffs. So a lot of people reaching out today with some questions that I know they're going to want help with as they make the playoff push. So excited to be here.
How about you, Sean? How's this lovely, I'm sure, chilly November day treating you here? Or December. We're the first day of December, aren't we? Hey, look at that.
Oh yeah, we made it.
We made it.
I'm still stuffed. I think I had like 3 Thanksgivings this past week, so I'm probably not going to eat for a few days just to get back down to being able to move.
You know,
Other than that,
was
I'm good.
plan as well. My family went out and got our Christmas tree yesterday. On the way
Nice.
out at checkout, man hands us a free complimentary pie. Another apple pie in the house.
Gotta take
And
it. Gotta
you
take
have
it.
to take it. It would be rude otherwise. And frankly, the Sicolis are anything but rude when it comes to being offered food. So,
Did he offer you the vanilla ice cream to go along with it, or was?
believe it or not, that's the first thing that my dad said out of his mouth when the guy handed it to him. Is like, this would go well with vanilla ice cream. So, yeah, it's on the mind here. Great minds think alike, and we obviously have a lot of great minds in our chat right now. Tootsie Pop, yes, free pie indeed, and you never turn down free pie. But the one thing we don't turn down on this show is fancy football questions and those starts at decisions. We are here to help you guys with all of that, and we have a few coming in from before the show by Fantasy Breakout, who always has that thinking ahead. The man's always smart with that. Let's start off with a few of them here. I'm having a good weekend. Hopefully you guys are too. Defensive line question from Fantasy Breakout. Jeffrey Simmons, Sam Hubbard, Christian Barmore, Cam Hayward, Will McDonald, or Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye on a tear lately, and I am so happy to see it.
Last week, Paye did have a little bit of a step back. Tyquan Lewis came back and took up some of the snaps, so that hurt him a little bit. He wasn't quite on the field as much. Hubbard is definitely out for me on this list. He is the easiest one out by far.
Yeah. To me, it's between Simmons and Hayward. I mean,
McDonald hasn't done anything in a while.
It was a hot start, but
Yeah.
I lean towards Hayward here. I think the Bengals matchup is a one he could take advantage of. That line has been shaky, and he's been terrific. But I have no issues at all with going Jeffrey Simmons as well, if we're picking one.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I am intrigued by Barmore being back and looking pretty good. I don't know if I'm ready to put him over Simmons and Hayward just yet, but I'm fine with Hayward.
I'll cast my vote for Hayward as well. It is pretty close, but the matchup makes a slight difference. So I'm going Hayward, Simmons, Barmore. That would be my 3.
And a good thing to keep an eye out for on your dynasty waivers if Christian Barmore is still out there, because he is in some one or two of mine that I've picked him up, scooped him, even if I'm stashing him for next year, since obviously his scary offseason health situation. But glad to have him back on the field because he is a terrific talent and one that they paid. Another question for Fancy Breakout. EJ Speed or Jamian Sherwood? The linebacker 2 standouts in the AOC here. To me, this is still going to be Speed, but it's going to be really close. So what do you guys think?
I think Speed actually has the better matchup. And I'll give that tiebreaker to Speed just because I do think the Seahawks are towards the bottom against linebackers giving up points.
That is correct. They are near the bottom, and because of that, I'm going Speed as well.
All right.
Look at us.
Always nice to start off with a nice agree.
I think it's Thanksgiving week. I think the more we go on, the more we'll disagree.
Hopefully. Let's find out.
Get back to normal.
Get the last one of Fancy Breakout 3 questions here. Half PPR offense question here: Hunter Henry or Evan Ingram? And does it make a difference if Trevor Lawrence suits up in comparison to Mac Jones? I mean it's obviously better to have Trevor Lawrence than to have Mac Jones, but the shoulder's not going away for Trevor Lawrence this season. He needs a month off, and he's not going to get a month off until the offseason. So I'm concerned with all Jaguars still, and it's annoying because I really want to play Brian Thompson this week. It's a terrific matchup against Houston. Houston's been a little bit more stingy against the tight end this season. I like Hunter Henry this week. I don't like. I understand why anyone would go Evan Ingram, but I think I go Hunter Henry.
I'm right there with you. Both have been getting lots of targets. It has made a bit of a difference with Mac Jones being in there. I felt Britton Strange was getting a little more plays, but I think that was due more to the wide receiver issue in Jacksonville. There's just nobody there to catch anything right now. It's Henry for me.
Sorry, guys.
There it is.
It was time for a disagreement. And
that took a long time. Yeah.
Particularly in hey, third question. That's good for us. I'm going to roll with Ingram on this one. The Houston secondary, particularly with Petrie out, they've really struggled in that middle of the field.
That's a good point.
Ingram, along with Thomas, should be the number one targets, basically. So I'm going to go with Ingram on this one. I'm not expecting either one of them to score like 25 points or anything along those lines, obviously, but I'm going Ingram. I'm going to trust Trevor Lawrence against that bad Houston safety situation.
I'm going to go on a limb, and I think the Jaguars could steal this one from Houston. Despite how bad they are, I could see that happening here. Houston's been a little bit up and down lately, so I think that's more than possible to see, and that could impact the way the ball gets moved on offense.
So fantasy breakout, if you believe what Michael just said, then Ingram is the obvious choice.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're talking. I'm talking 7 touchdowns for Travis Etienne finally. Which safety should Harry Brooks start? Between Kyle Hamilton and Jeremy Chin. We've heard a lot of coach talk about Kyle Hamilton playing deep, and it's been proven by the usage. And yet Jeremy Chin coming off a dud himself. 2 guys that we, once upon a time we viewed as the crown jewels, and we still do for one of them probably. But what do you guys think about these 2 right here?
I'm still leaning with Hamilton this week, even though he's playing deep. I like the matchup better. I don't feel good about Chin going against the Titans.
That's
at all.
I'm gonna. Oh boy, this is a tough one. My initial reaction was Chin, but I think I'm flipping back towards Hamilton as well. And by the way, I want to thank Harry for being a regular on the IDP Advice Show. So thank you, Harry. But the one thing where Hamilton has been playing deep, you kind of wonder if they're going to bring him closer to the line to help with the Philadelphia running attack, and particularly with no Devontae Smith. So from that regard, I would chance it on Hamilton over Chin.
I will make it unanimous because I subscribe to that methodology there. I think they will play him close to the line, and also even if they don't, I still have the same concerns that Sean was laying out about this Tennessee matchup with Jeremy Chin. Doesn't feel like one I want to be attacking, given how few snaps we've seen Tennessee play at times on offense because of their poor offense. So I'm willing to ride the hot hand, or not the hot hand. I'm willing to ride Kyle Hamilton into the sunset. Fantasy sports. Which 2 linebackers should he start this week? You got Foye Oluokun, Hanley, Blake Cashman, and Josie Jewell. I assume that's Henley. I assume this would be Dion Henley.
For the Chargers, yeah.
But he himself is questionable. Have we got any update on Henley's status? Because he started missing practice this week.
I would double check while y'all talk here, guys.
Yeah, in the meantime, we still have to pick one other one. So, Sean, between Cashman, Josie Jewell, Foye Oluokun, which one of those guys would you start before we even consider whether Henley's even an option?
Hanley is off the injury report.
Off the injury report.
Off
Good
the
to see.
Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. No, my bad. He did not practice on Friday and listed as questionable. I am wrong.
Okay,
We got the
so
wrong
he is
one.
going to be most likely will be out, and we have the benefit of that being a 1 o'clock game, or the early slate. Let me be fair to all
Correct.
time zones here, and that we should know before kickoff whether he is actually going to play. So you got that update, and I think we all agree that if Henley plays, we would play him, right? But no practice
Correct.
this week seems unlikely.
Yeah, that is most likely. I don't think there's been a single person that hasn't practiced all week and then listed as questionable then ended up playing. They all of them ended up not playing.
So then let's assume we got to pick two of these other three here between Foy, Blake Cashman, and Josie Jewell. Ivan Pace picked up that injury last week, so I think Cashman's a lock for me here. Do you guys agree with that?
But he was already playing 100% of the snaps, though.
Sure, it does make a difference. It just
Yeah.
further ensures it, and I like what Blake Cashman's been doing. So, do you unless you feel otherwise, talk me out of it.
No, I like Cashman. When he's in there, for the most part, he's usually really productive. Um, it's not always the case, but I feel like this is a pretty good matchup for him. Aluakun's the other guy I'm looking at here. I think I trust him more than Jewel right now.
That's the way I lean as well. But Ricky, I got a feeling like you're going to disagree with us on this.
No, I'm not, it's not that I'm disagreeing. I was just thinking here for a little bit. Um, I I'm definitely in on Aluakon, and that was some nice tunes there,
Yeah,
Sean.
but we're going to get
That's
copyright
that's my
strike.
that's my son's. I didn't know he had his phone in there. Turn that off
uh,
for him.
yeah, exactly. I'm in on Aluakon, boy, but the Vikings are, what is it, three last games or four of the last five, something like that, where they've played so few snaps. I mean, way below the average. And for that regard, and with Carolina playing Tampa Bay and the way Tampa Bay's been using White and Irving, I'm actually going to go Aluakon and Joel.
Okay,
I don't
fair
hate that
enough.
either.
I
Very
mean,
con-
yeah, fair enough. We're all about discussion here, and if anybody has any other Josie Jewell questions, of which I'm sure we'll get one or two, feel free to throw them in here. Fancy Sports asking, was Jack Campbell's usage the same this week against Chicago? He only had 3 solo tackles, or what was it just one of those games? Anybody got
I
a takeaway
I
from?
would I am
It's
going
just
to
one of
our
them games.
I'm
I
going
think
to our tool right now in progress. Go ahead, Sean.
I'm almost certain he played 100% of the snaps because the Lions are just about out of linebackers, so they had to play him.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's not
I think
changing anytime soon.
it was just one of those games, and he hasn't been just overly productive in any
Yeah,
of these games. Really, he's just been kind of meh for the most part.
yeah. So if you're an IDP Plus subscriber, which by the way we have a 1 month option and we have a 20% off option as well,
That's
but
right.
you could go to our tool and see that Jack Campbell played 100% of the snaps, um, and so the Bears ended up throwing the ball a lot. So it's just because they were so far behind at halftime, and I think that's what ended up happening is one of those games.
Yeah, I mean, what Sean said about the injuries to this linebacker room means that the usage will continue to be there. But if anybody watched that game, Caleb Williams was under pressure nonstop. He was either taking sacks or throwing incomplete passes, and those don't lead to tackles
Right.
for the linebacker and Jack Campbell until the second half came and you get some more. You got that hit on Caleb as he was going out of bounds, but yeah, seems like one of those games for sure. We're going to jump over to more questions here. We have a ton coming in, which is awesome to see as always. So we're going to try to get to as many as we can. But I want to remind people that we do have the super chat option. That if you guys need that question answered right now, it is a win and get in week for a lot of fantasy leagues. Feel free to use super chat, and we will get to that question immediately. So let us get back to business here with Skywalker. Rest of season. Who do you like more, Taron Johnson or Ugo Amadi?
Ooh, this
Taron
is
Johnson is kind of my workhorse slot corner for the rest of the year in most formats. Do you guys disagree with that? I mean, I
I
don't.
don't
There's not many
disagree
I
with
would play
that.
over.
It's just that position that Ugo is in is a fantasy machine. It doesn't matter who's been playing in that. Alante
Mm.
Taylor, Ugo, like whoever gets that spot is going off.
But do we think he keeps it? I'm not saying he won't, but in terms of
That
we've seen the
that's
Saints safety position be wildly
right.
unreliable in the
Well,
past.
that's what makes me nervous here for rest of season.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly right. Where Tehran is a known factor, Ugo's not. And Alante Taylor got torched. I mean, like
Always
you
does.
know, like a marshmallow that you're trying to make a s'mores and you just overburn the crap out of it. That was Alante Taylor last week. And
Can
so
never.
there's a chance the Saints move him back to where he was playing better in that slot role and do something different on the outside, which would impact Amadi. So I think Tehran is a safer play and has proven it more over time, where Amadi's been a waiver wire practice squad kind of guy. So I'm going with the trusted name on this one.
All right. Another one from Skywalker here. This one on offense. Who do we like more today between Jaden Daniels against the Cardinals, CJ Stroud against those Jaguars? Two good matchups. Although obviously Minnesota's a tough one, but Minnesota's been a little bit more lenient in over the last month or two.
Whoa.
No?
Jaden Daniels against the Titans.
Then yes, the Titan. I have Jonathan Gannon in my mind from the Marvin Harrison hype he dropped this morning. Apologies. But yeah, Jane Daniels against the Titans, CJ Stroud against the Texans, against the Jaguars. What do you guys think? Which one do you prefer?
I could see both of them struggling today. The Titans got a big boost in confidence after beating Stroud last week, and they can be tricky at times. They beat teams they shouldn't. They lose to teams they should beat. I could see an upset.
Stroud has not been playing that well. Now, I
He
know
is
Daniels hasn't playing that well either. I'd rather take Daniels with the chance of the rushing yards
rushing.
because he did start running again this past week. And I think they're going to get back to a little bit more of that. They've realized it wasn't working for them otherwise. So I'm gonna go with Daniels with the legs. I mean Stroud's been like a high end two quarterback, high to mid quarterback to this, So I'm going Daniels.
Yeah, Stroud's been disappointing. There's no way around it. I'm still going to go with him here, just because I like the matchup more. I think Jacksonville actually puts up a. This is going to age poorly, but I think they put up a fight this week. I think a lot of the
I would,
struggles with Stroud also needs to be addressed. That no Nico Collins for a big stretch of that. Obviously, he had him back last week, and he was still not great. The troubles in Houston still go a little bit further beyond that. But I think Nico Collins obliterates the Jaguars today, to be honest. So we'll see how that goes. But I lean Stroud slightly. Cliff Kingsbury, second half of the season, good God, he gets figured out every single year. Skywalker, final one here. If he has to drop one in a 10-teamer to add someone at a different position, would you drop Stroud or would you drop Jane Daniels?
Stroud.
I guess it would be Stroud. I mean, I'd say I would play Stroud this week, so that would be difficult. But it's a 10-teamer, You might even have a better option between the two of them on the wire right now, given the 10-team at QB. So I'm fine dropping either of them.
Yeah.
Probably Stroud.
Yeah, particularly this. Go ahead, Sean.
I'm hanging on to Daniels again because of the rushing ability, the yards, that you can get there, the points, and then rushing touchdowns usually count more than passing touchdowns. So I think Daniels has the most value between those two.
Yeah, and I'm leaning Daniels straight up without looking at the end of season schedule. But at the same time, to Michael's point, in a 10-teamer, right now, instead of carrying that second quarterback, where if Daniels did end up getting hurt, you could probably find a suitable quarterback. I'm looking to handcuff my running backs, things along those lines here late in the year as we get to playoff time. So I would definitely do that for somebody else.
Fancy Sports with a question here. If he had to drop one linebacker of Cashman, Campbell, Josie Jewell, who would that be? And would you drop any of them for Dre Greenlaw, who might be nearing a return for San Francisco, but not something we're going to count on for redraft? Maybe if you have a keeper league, it might be worth a little stash, I guess, if you get them for free. But if it's based on ADP, it's still not worth it. Either way, if you had to drop one of them, it's probably Jack Campbell, right? I mean, but we wouldn't drop him for Dre Greenlaw. But if you had to drop him in general, would it be Jack Campbell?
I think so. Just because he just less productive than the others. I could see the Lions starting to rest some of their starters, even though they're short on linebackers. They could start resting these guys a little
They've
bit in some
signed
of these blowouts.
they've signed David Long and Quan Alexander. What do you mean, man?
Oh my
There
God.
you
They're
go.
loading back up.
Flashback. Let's go back to 2021,
But
2020.
that is a worry too, that they go back to starting to rotate as well. Maybe not fully bench them, but do some of that rotation we were seeing earlier this year, where Campbell wasn't playing as much with some of these veterans that they've signed, and to try and keep them healthier. So Campbell's the one if I had to drop one, but I think we're all in agreement we're not doing it for Greenlaw and a redraft this year.
Yep. All right, we're going to keep on moving here through the questions. Again, reminder, because it's so awesome, but we have so many questions to get to. We have the super chat option, so if you guys need that question now, you need an answer right now for that week-winning question that you're wondering, feel free to use the super chat option. We'll jump right to that. Fancy breakout question here. Any concerns with Josh Allen and the passing game with the potential snow game? I do have concerns, not with Josh Allen necessarily, but with that passing game. So would you start Amari Cooper as a wide receiver 2/flex? I'd lean no. I'm still fine playing Josh Allen and trusting him to run the ball 16 times for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Amari Cooper, I would probably lean away. But as always, it comes down to other options.
Right.
Exactly. If you got a better one, I would definitely take it. It wouldn't have to be super better. It would just have to be slightly better, and I would probably take it.
Yeah, I pulled Debo out of one lineup. I pulled Juwan Jennings out of another lineup. I went with Baker over Purdy in another lineup. I would have probably done that anyway. But I'm just staying away as much from this game as possible, particularly that it's on a Sunday night. Could the weather potentially get worse even on top of what they're predicting and all?
Freezing.
Yeah. So snow, cold, West Coast team San Francisco coming in. But Josh Allen, I'm with Michael. I trust not much more than that. Maybe Cook as well. It'd be interesting. Ray Davis could be interesting by the end of the game in the fourth quarter.
Ray Davis could be a sneaky start. I really wouldn't be surprised with how many carries could be seen in that one. Skywalker will jump over here. Pick one rest of season between Zach Allen. Oh, and I'll also throw in still alive and Scott Fishbowl here. I don't feel good about it, but I'm going Ross over Brock Purdy this week, and we'll see how that pays off. Because of that snow and the shoulder and the cold. Pick one rest of the season for Skywalker here. Zach Allen, who has been terrific, although he picked up an injury. Dexter Lawrence, who might be out for the season. Kwity Paye, Keon White, and Braden Fisk, who's been great as a rookie as well. 5 points a tackle, 3 points assists, 7 for forced fumbles, 10 for sacks, 5 for pass defenses. To me, Zach Allen, I don't think the injury is that serious. I think he's back this week.
Zach Allen is fully off the injury report. That one
Zach Allen's been terrific this year.
Yeah.
And I loved him coming out from Arizona coming over. Me and Dynasty Santa talked about him quite a bit last year, and the post-night breakout is here. So I'm going Zach Allen.
Yep, and so it's Zach Allen for me. Sexy Dexy, unfortunately, it sounds like he's going on injured reserve. So he would probably be first for me, if not for the injury, then Zach Allen. But to me, it's Zach Allen first, and then, believe it or not, it'd go Keon White second over the rest of them.
I'm with you on Zach Allen. I think I would take Fisk over White right now.
I think I would too, but it's close. I think we get a little bit more tackles there.
When White went back up to 80% snaps roughly, and then with Barmore next to him, I feel a little bit better with White as a result. But I could see your Fisk pick. I understand why.
Rams really crushed it once again on the draft there. Late Night Toker 256. Hey guys, back again. Need help with his quarterback today. Half PPR, Matt Stafford or Sam Darnold. Seems like every time he takes Darnold, I relate to that. He ends up going off once you take him out of the lineup. Completely relate to that as someone who has been hot potato between Mahomes and Sam Darnold and seems to be picking the wrong one each week. But this week I'm going Sam Darnold because I do like him this week, so I'm going to trust Sam Darnold to get it done against Arizona in a game that I think will be a little bit high scoring. But, I mean, Matt Stafford against the Saints, can't hate it either. Which one do you guys go with?
I like Stafford against the Saints. It's just a little better. It's not great, but that secondary has been through the ringer.
I I don't know how people have it ranked in general, but I'm for this week, and I know I got the Saints bias and all, but I'm against the Saints this week. Nakua healthy, Cup healthy. I think this Stafford has a wonderful day against the Saints today, and so I'm leaning him over Darnold as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, and also you get the benefit. And assuming this is the same league for late night here, he does also have Puka and Cooper Cup, so you could get the trio stack, which I don't honestly love, just because that's putting a lot of investment in one offense. But they are the offense in Los Angeles, and like you said, this Saints secondary is struggling. So I don't know if that changes anyone's answers, but would you take any of those guys out and replace with Drake London or Lad McConkey?
No.
No,
I
I'm
would
not.
either, but I love both those guys this week as well. I think Drake London
Yeah,
will be solid, and Lad McConkey is coming into his own right now.
yeah. Puka and Cooper top 8, Drake's 10 to 12, McConkey's around 15. I mean, all fantastic choices, but I'm sticking with Puka and Cooper.
Yeah, I think McConkey's going to have a big week this week. No Dobbins. I think they're going to have to pass the ball a little bit more than they're used to. Lad McConkey's the guy to throw it to. Let's go to Summer here. He needs one defensive lineman out of Kalijah Cansey, Carl Granderson, Keon White. Carl Granderson's been so disappointing this year, or at least over the second half of the season. Sean, which one of these guys would you go with? I'd go with Keon White personally. Piggyback off the momentum or piggyback off the Christian Barmore take that Ricky laid out earlier.
I think I'm going Kansas here. He's been on a pretty good roll himself. And I do like his matchup against Carolina, who are not very good. That's the guy I'm going with. Granderson's actually second for me. I got White last out of these three. Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
I feel really bad, Summer, because the
He's going
Rams
Granderson.
the Rams offensive tackles were so bad last week against the Eagles. I mean, the edge rushers were putting pressure all day long, and so I could see Granderson getting a sack against Stafford. I still like Stafford as a play, but I can see Granderson getting a sack. So for me, it's Granderson, Cansey, and White in this particular one.
Wow. Okay, so I'm the odd man out here the most. You guys got White last year. I'm going with him first. This will be a fun one to revisit. But I like Cansey as well. I understand the matchup with the Rams offensive line and the offensive tackles in particular. Man, Carl Granch has just been. When's the last time he has one sack over the last
He's
5
actually he's actually been picking up over the last few weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Has he?
Since Dennis Allen left, they're
Yeah.
actually platooning the defensive ends more, which I think is actually keeping Granderson fresher, which is better on a per snap basis for him. Cam Jordan's been playing more. Peyton Turner's been playing more. Foskey even got a couple of snaps.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's got the 1.5 sacks since week 3 of the season, but those 1.5 have come in the 3 games since the Carolina loss, which Dennis Allen lost his job for. And obviously we had the 2 TFL game against Cleveland, that messy one last week. So, yeah, I mean, Carl Grants has always been that versatile guy. No issues with going any of these 3. I think Keon White might have the juice, but we'll see. This, again, will be a fun one to go back to. Let's go over to Summer's other question here. As soon as my stream stops lagging, and I am scrolling through these very, very slowly yet fast at the same time.
Oop, hang on. I
So we'll
was
get
trying to
that
help
in
you
a
there.
second.
There we go.
Okay. All right, we're good. Summer with a quick question here. Levante David, Tyrese Knight, or Jordan Hicks? If you have to pick one, I like Tyrese Knight a lot right now, but that's difficult.
That's
What
a
do you
tough
guys think
matchup.
here?
That's a really
Hicks
tough matchup
Hicks
for
played
Knight.
90% of the snaps. Knight's only been playing about 80. Levante played 100. But he has not been as effective as he has been in the past. His tackle efficiency has been way down. I don't know if the age 34 is catching up with him. So, oh wow, this is a tough one.
I like Knight the most, but he has the absolute worst matchup here.
I'd rather stick with the guy that's playing 100% of the snaps, to be honest with you. Do you think Brooks gets more carries this week along with Hubbard? As
If they're not too far behind, that's my concern. And plus, Hubbard's been playing really well. I wouldn't rush Brooks back at all this year. That's just me.
Yeah,
But
I think it'll still be the Hubbard show for the foreseeable future of this season at least. I think I lean Hicks slightly. I'm not as scared of the Jets matchup as others might be with Tyrese Knight. I think that could be a. I think that yeah, I'm flipping off Hicks. I think I'll go with Knight. I'll stick with the guy that's been performing the best of the three over the last few weeks.
okay, so
At
2
least
for Knight,
attack.
1 for Levante.
Yeah, I'll save
Hicks
Summer
is
here
dead last for me. Yeah, for
of the
sure.
3-person split. Yeah. So that means Jordan Hicks is going off 20 tackles this week. Would you start Kobe Turner, who's been awesome, over Christian Roseboom, who has been productive? Yeah, I think we need scoring, right? I
Yeah,
feel like
this one would be a scoring system. So Tootsie Pop, if you could let us know your scoring system. You know, Roseboom's been playing only 75% of the snaps, but he's been getting 11, 12 tackles with that, 7 of which roughly are solo. So that's pretty darn productive, and I'd rather have that over a defensive tackle, but it depends on the scoring system.
Yep. So we can come back to that one if you have those details for us, Tootsie Pop. Patty, PPR, starting 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, and a flex. JT, Brees Hall, Bucky Irving, Drake London, Sutton, and Marv. He also needs safe plays because he has a 20-point projection window here. So, for me, I'm looking at if we have to pick 2 running backs, I think I'm still just going JT and Brees. I might flex Bucky. Oh man, this is difficult actually. These are good options. Oh man. If anybody has an immediate thought, I'll jump on it because I want to sit on this one for a second. These
I'm
are all
not.
good options, in my opinion.
Well, so the first thing, the Jets, it'll be interesting to see if Brees Hall is active. He's supposed to be, but they did call up Keen Wongwu from the practice squad. So that made me a little bit nervous about him as a result when they called up a running back, which is the first time they've done that. So that's to keep in mind. Boy, Indianapolis hasn't been able to stay on the field, and their offensive line is banged up. Even against New England, that's a concern as well. Out of all of these, Bucky Irving is my first choice at running back.
Yep.
Once I
He's
thought
been
about
on
the
fire.
matchup, yeah.
So then it's JT or Brees, folks. And go ahead, Sean.
I think I'm going to go with JT here. I do feel he's healthier. With the Patriots not being the most potent offense, I do think Indianapolis can stay on the field a little longer this week, and he can fall into the end zone maybe.
And if we're talking safety between the injury situation with Brees and the Jets in general, I mean, not that JT is safe right now, but I think he does carry a little bit higher floor, given the the workload he commands in that backfield. And the Jets have the option to go to Braylon Allen. They could do that.
Yeah. And Seattle played a hell of a game against Arizona last week. They shut down James Conner. They shut down the running game. So for me, Bucky and JT are the 2 running backs. So I think it sounds like we're aligning around that.
Yep. And then we got to pick 2 receivers here.
Or actually one receiver and then a flex.
I assume we're not going with one of the running backs over one of these receivers.
No.
Assumption.
Correct.
I think we just talked ourselves out of that.
So for me, I'm buying the coach speak. I'm sorry, guys. Marvin's a must start for me. It's a good matchup for fantasy on paper, and if the coach is saying he's going to get him going, this is it for Jonathan Gannon. This is I will not trust a word that comes out of his mouth if we do not get a 8 for 80 and a touchdown type of game from Marvin. So I'm going Marvin, and I'll go Drake London. Colton Sutton's been terrific, so I have no issues if anyone wants to go there.
I'm going Sutton because his dude's been very productive, and then I'll take the big play at flex there with Marvin. I think he's got the more upside here for London. Over
I think that Atlanta Chargers game is going to be a shootout. Now earlier we had London lower but behind Kupp and Nakua. But in this case, I'm absolutely playing London and I'm playing Sutton. I'm not buying the coach speak. Murray has been struggling with the deep passes or of anything deep. Trey McBride, he can throw it to a tight end. We've established that. But I am not trusting the coach speak. Sorry, Michael, I'm not with you on that one. I'm going London and Sutton are my other
Listen,
two here.
Patty's asking for the safe plays, and I do think, I think even with a 20-point projected window, I like to mix in some upside, and I think Marvin does have the upside over someone like Sutton in this one. But I think Sutton has shown that he has the higher floor, so there's certainly that
Yes.
value for Patty here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
see,
Sutton
so
is the safest of the three. Then it comes down to, do we trust London to be consistent, or a little more big play potential with Marvin?
I mean, London usually is averaging 14 yards a catch. So I don't
Yeah.
buy into the safe play stuff, man. You play who you think's going to score the most, and right now I think that's London and Sutton in this case for me. So there you go, Patty. Another one.
Yeah, very helpful, I'm sure. Late night asking again, half PPR, Chuba Hubbard or James Conner. He's pretty sure which way he wants to go, but he'd like the confirmation bias. I totally understand that. I know James Conner disappointed in the last week, and I know Chuba Hubbard's got, the backfield right now. But for me,
Minnesota's run defense has been really tough this year.
yeah, that's the only reason why I'm having some pause. But I
I'm
have
going.
no faith
I'm
in the
going.
Panthers
I'm going Chuba, guys, on this one.
against this Bucks front. That's scarier, or not scarier, but that's just as scary to me.
Uh, well, y'all didn't agree with me on my Levante David take, which clearly he can't tackle. So therefore, Hubbard should be able to run through there.
He doesn't have to. Vita Vea spans
You're
the
right,
entire
Ricky.
side of the field. Vita Vea,
Vea and Cansey up front.
yeah. I'll go James Conner personally. I think there's always the chance that he catches 5 balls for 60 yards as well. They obviously value him. They showed it with an extension this week, and they're still in the playoff hunt. So I'll go James Conner.
Man, I do like the catching potential of Connor more than Hubbard's. And I think that'll be the slight difference here. I think these two actually finish pretty close.
Yeah, I think it very well could be. Dan B2
I think y'all are just ganging up on me today.
Yes. Yeah, Sean and I messaged beforehand saying we're not going to agree with anything Ricky says. And if you
Yeah,
change your opinion,
100%.
change yours to counter it.
Yeah. If you join us, we're going to flip.
Yeah, and now the best question of the day, the ones I love to get. Have PPR. It's week 13. You have to get in. Are you trusting Demario Douglas, Nick Westbrook-Akeen, or MVS? Oh, yes.
In a half
Really?
PPR.
So it's not even full PPR, so you can't say Demario Douglas and feel kind of okay with it. It's half PPR. Do you trust the one-play touchdown of both Nikhil Westbrook-Akeen and MVS? Or do you trust the boring oatmeal of slot receiver of Demario Douglas?
MVS.
MVS is my pick as well.
Oh, God, the shivers that go down my spine.
Yeah.
Him and Carr got a good thing going on.
They
I
do.
mean, Carr will throw deep, so you could talk me into it. He is a slight underdog, so I'm not going to go Demario Douglas. I'll go MVS as well. Slight underdog makes the difference here for me. I mean, it doesn't even make a difference. I'll just shoot for the ceiling with 3 guys that I think are not great.
I just think I can't believe Westbrook-Akeen will score yet another touchdown this week, folks. Which some people might say the same about MVS, but Douglas, if it's 5 catches becomes 2.5 points for 40 yards, that's probably the lowest win today. I particularly if he's it feels like he's a slight underdog. I'm going MVS.
Will Power asking, does he drop Tyrese Knight for Blake Cashman with the pace injury? Who do we like better rest of the season, Grant Delpit or Xavier Woods? Let's start with the linebacker there. Does he drop Tyrese Knight for Cashman?
I'm not doing it. The pace injury is irrelevant to Cashman's playing time. Every time Cashman's active, he's playing about 100% of the snaps, except for blowouts. So I'm not doing that.
I probably would hold Knight as well. I like the way he's trending. Plus, you got that rookie upside of late season. Maybe he gets his best form.
Oh, I read this wrong. I am dropping T Knight for Cashman. I'm sorry, I read it wrong.
Yeah,
I read the question.
I think it depends on what you need. If you need a start, I think Cashman could be better. If you want to see what you can get rest of the season, I think Tyrese Knight has a higher ceiling rest of the way.
I have
And
more injury concerns over Blake Cashman staying
that
healthy
too.
for any amount of time, so I will take Knight as well with Sakoli here.
And rest of season, Grant Delpit or Xavier Woods. Oh, unless Ricky's got something for us.
Deion Hanley's active, even though he
Active.
didn't
Oh,
practice.
yes. So now,
So
yeah, just to throw everything into the mix. That's
yeah, I
great.
just want to make sure for that question earlier, we would have had Hanley first on the list, I believe. So who forgot who it was earlier. We'd play Hanley if you're still, hopefully, still watching.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's why you stayed to the end of the show. We're here to break news for you guys, try to help. But rest of the season, Grant Delpit, Xavier Woods.
Delpit for me.
It's Delpit for me
Yeah,
slightly, but it's kind of a meh either way for me. If I'm
I
being
agree
honest.
with that. Yeah, I'm not really blown away by either, but I'll trust Delpit a little more.
All right, let's go to another question from Will here. With Highsmith likely coming back next week, does he drop Nick Herbig for Jonathan Greenard, Nick Bonito, or Jonathan Cooper?
Yeah,
I'd probably drop him for any of these guys. Specifically Greenard and Cooper probably for me. But
I like Benito more than Cooper
Agreed.
myself. I think Benito's this dude's getting like a sack every week,
Yeah.
and
It's like,
nobody's blowing him up, talking about him that much. Greenard is hit or miss. Cooper's right there too. Um, Benito's the guy I want here. I feel like he's the most consistent.
yeah, he's got like 10 sacks in the last 10 weeks and 9 games.
Yeah,
9 of those 10 games, he had a sack. One of them, he had 2. So I'm Benito. Greenard has been up and down and all, but he has had his big games as well. So for me, absolutely, I'm dropping Herbig for all 3 of these guys, particularly for rest of the season with Benito, Greenard, and Cooper in my order. And Will,
the
welcome,
other
man. It's been a little bit since we heard from Will, it feels like. So maybe I'm forgetting, but glad to have you back, Will.
yeah, good to have him. I remember the name as well from last year specifically. I
Yep.
remember. Perks out another name that I know very well here. Will Anderson, Roquan Smith, Kobe Turner, Greg Rousseau, Kenneth Murray. Let's pick 3. He's looking for floor. So Greg Rousseau, we can throw to the sideline. Although does the snow help Greg Rousseau? I don't know, but
not over 2 linebackers.
yeah, not over 2 linebackers. So are we? That's Kenneth Murray, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's
we
got to be
have
Kenneth
no.
Murray and Roquan. Yep.
Yeah, do we know if what's it called? Remind me, Tennessee linebacker who's just dealing with injury.
Jerome Baker?
Jerome
Jack
Baker.
Gibbons?
Jerome Baker. I
Gibbons
believe.
is out.
Yeah, Gibbons is
Yeah,
out.
Gibbons
Jerome
is out.
Baker.
Was
we know
useless
Jerome-
last week.
Yeah. I'd go kind of. I'd probably go with the Roquan Smith for sure. Kenneth Murray.
Yep.
Since
Will
Gibbons
Anderson.
has been
Will
out,
Anderson,
Murray's
third guy
played
for me.
well.
against the Jaguars. I like Kobe
like-
Turner too, man. He's been awesome, but and he's been
It's
mostly.
it's Anderson for me. That's the third guy. 2 linebackers and Will Anderson. I trust him to
I'd be overthinking if I went Turner.
drop Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't played in a few weeks. Probably a little slow, a little rusty. Got very
All
hit a
right.
little pace.
We are in alignment. Murray, Smith, and Anderson. Congratulations. You got one we all agreed on.
There we go. All right, as we come up to the final 15 minutes or so of our show here, be sure to get
Already?
the questions in. We're not gonna go past the hour mark, I believe is the plan today. Trying to be a little bit more on top of that. But if you do have,
Super chat. Yep,
yeah,
good.
get those super chats in because at some point we do have to leave. You only have us for an hour, unless of course you're an IDP Plus subscriber. You can ask us questions in the Discord, and we're happy to help always with those. But for now, be sure to get those super chats in if you want your questions answered, because we still have plenty to get through. Mbot86, he's best DB start today. Kenny Moore, I'm not going to read the teams. Kenny Moore against the Patriots. Marlon Humphrey against Philadelphia. Amadi against the Rams. Brandon Jones against Cleveland. Very limited IDP scoring there, especially on the tackle front.
Given this, I'm going to play Amadi.
Absolutely.
I do too. Which is not where I thought I would go with this when I first started reading it.
This is where the scoring system is so helpful when people
Yes.
do that. So, Mbot, great for you to put it in there because we'd probably give you a different answer without the scoring system. But with 4 points for a sack and 2.25 for tackle for loss and 3 for pass defense, I'm going to Marty.
Yep.
All right. Good one. We all agree with that. Another one from here in the PPR. Gus Edwards, Jeremy McNichols, or Juwan Jennings, which is Sunday Night Football, not Monday night. But either way, we have the Purdy question mark. We have the snow. I think we're probably going to be looking at Gus or Jeremy, right? I know it's
Jeremy
PPR.
McNichols for me on this one.
McNichols for me as well.
Interesting.
I don't trust.
blame you.
I don't trust Gus at all.
I don't either. But I do trust Jim Harbaugh to throw him 6 carries at the goal line. So I will go Gus and hope that will be enough where he goes 8 for 22 and possibly 2.
Nichols has been productive. It's a revenge game against the Titans.
That's true. And Brian Robinson, despite everything, he can't be 100% healthy.
Right.
And there's even thought that he wasn't even going to play. Then all of a sudden he was practicing on Wednesday and all. I'm not trusting that. He could get a little bit banged up pretty quick. I'm actually going McNichols.
Chris Rodriguez is going to make us all cry, but I'm going to go with I'll stick with Gus and have Hassan Haskins make me cry, and you guys can go with Jeremy McNichols and have Chris Rodriguez make us cry. Pachuca TTV, good to see you. I know that's another name I'm familiar with. Good to see you. Starting one between DK, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Ridley. Do we drink the Kool-Aid again with Ridley or with Harrison? Do we ride the steady hand of Ridley? Do we take the upside of DK in a kind of tough matchup in theory? What do you think?
I'm going Calvin Ridley in this one.
I'm as well. Yeah, I don't trust DK. Tough matchup. I feel like he will get locked down.
I think this is a huge JSN game again today.
Yeah, I mean, I could see DK taking care of Sauce, but or should I say Ahmad Gardner? But I think I go Ridley as well. I can't deny the production. We've seen a solid floor as well, so I'll make it a trio here. Sam, good morning to you. He's stuck on his flex position. Haven't we all been there? Between Drake London, Ramondre Stevenson, Taysom Hill. What a trio. I'm going to go Drake London here. I am not as bullish on Drake London this week as you guys are. I still think he's going to be a very solid wide receiver too. But of these 3, I would still go Drake London.
Drake London for me as well.
I'm toying with the thought of Taysom Hill here.
I am too.
Ramondre's out. No, we don't trust him.
I trust
I'm gonna go Taysom Hill. Y'all have already got me 2-1. So
look at you.
I get to take it.
If you need a desperate boom play, I mean, if you really think that, because I mean, you happen to play some folks on Thursday that really went off, like the DJ Moores and maybe several others, A-Chain or whatever. Hill is your best chance for the massive boom, but otherwise I'm playing London.
All right, let's go over to William Gonzalez here. Rashad White or Devontae Adams, full PPR. What a sad state of affairs we're here with. I'm still, that you got the Carolina matchup. You always got to consider the Carolina matchup, but you got Devontae Adams as well against Seattle. What do you guys think? Full PPR. I'm going Devontae Adams, and I kind of just want to die on the hill at this point. I don't feel good about it, but
it's my initial reaction. But with the way Tampa's playing, they're checking down to White and Irving.
Yeah, but will they need to in this one?
They didn't need to last week, and they kept doing it.
That's a good point. Good point. Yeah,
I'm going White. I just the Jets offense.
I'm with you. I think I'm with you. Yep. They're a mess. They're awful.
Can't and on top of that, not that Tyron Smith was playing great, but he went on injured reserve yesterday, so I'm not sure he's going to be a left tackle. Rodgers is a sitting duck back there as it is. I'm sorry, I'm going Rashad White.
I honestly think the Tyron Smith IR thing could be better for the Jets. Tyron Smith was one of the is an absolute shell of himself, which is such a shame because of how amazing he was in Dallas once upon a time. But yeah, he he has been one of the worst tackles in football. So maybe that actually helps. But I'll go Devontae Adams slightly. Because also, I say that normally I don't say that because if you're still back up behind a bad player, that's a problem. But with Tyron Smith, you get that veteran leadership. You know that he's kind of you're not going to bench him. So if you get forced to do so, maybe someone can step up behind him. Not that it matters because that whole
If
line.
Rodgers looked like a capable quarterback, I would go with you with Adams, but
I
got
won't
quiet
talk
right now.
anymore about the Jets to talk them up because I just don't want that on my resume.
Troy Anderson is active today. Finally, are you benching
Oh,
Landman?
I'm not trusting that yet.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna have
gonna
to see
wait
it.
and see. Let's see if he can make it through a full game.
So would you play Landman though, knowing Anderson's active?
Dude, what's your backup, Ricky? What's your
I
other up?
no,
Oh,
this is for our audience. Sorry,
Yeah, sure.
but
It's for the
I'm
audience, not as
I'm not
high stakes
serious.
must win week.
I don't have Landman or Anderson on any of my teams. In all
I
seriousness,
don't either.
but
If I have somebody who is starting and playing 100%, I would play them over both Lamon and Anderson until we can
agreed.
see what happens.
I think they end up splitting time.
I do
So
too.
I would pull out Landman just for our audience there. And Highsmith is definitely inactive as well.
Yep,
Side note.
I
Okay.
saw that. J.K. Kelly, otherwise known as I'm sure this is Josh Kelly's burner. Sit one, E.J. Speed, Josie Jewell, Jamian Sherwood, or Terrell Bernard. Terrell Bernard in the snow. I don't want to sit him. I think Sherwood's my sit, but
Oh boy,
Mosley's inactive. Just double check that.
yeah, I mean, we
it
did the
didn't.
Speed
It
versus
didn't
Sherwood
matter.
question earlier. Um, without that, maybe if we got the scoring, that might help as well, J.K., but not too much probably. I'm just chasing tag. I think I'm benching Sherwood here. I don't mind if we bench Joseph Jewell either, but I would play
Uh,
Speed and
I'm
Bernard
not.
with full
I'm
confidence.
not benching Jewel or Speed. It's between Sherwood and Bernard for me. Actually,
yeah.
If it wasn't the
I'm
snow,
worried. I'm worried there's not going to be enough plays for on San Francisco side. The way that team is banged up, they're all
yeah,
hurt.
that's a good point.
Uh,
Yeah,
I might bench Bernard.
I'm benching Bernard as well on this one. I'm with you. And then with Milano being active, the thought process is okay. He starts taking away from Dorian Williams, but does it become a three-person rotation in there? Because Milano has spent
That's a
some
good
time in the
point.
middle in the past, so that's another little bit of a risk here. Um, I'm benching Bernard.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sean, you guys talked me into it because I can very well see this being a very heavy offensive day for the Bills where they're just chewing clock and moving the chains.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
we're talking a 45, 48 snap game for this Bills defense. You have possibly three linebackers on the field because of the snow between Dorian, Matt Milano, and Bernard. Yeah, you guys have talked me into it. So that's what we're here to do. I'll bench Bernard, though. So there we go. Another question. Marvin Harrison Jr. or Zay Flowers in half PPR. Flowers against those Eagles. Marvin Harrison Jr. against those Vikings. I'm going Marvin here, and I know Zay's been productive. I'm going to trust it here. We're going to go Marvin.
I think Baltimore's going to
Um,
have to throw the ball
I do too.
to keep
I
up.
do too. If it was full
to
PPR, you could talk me
Rashad
into Zay. But
to Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar.
and not even like Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews would be Charlie Kohler.
Yeah. I think he's actually injured, so maybe not.
Oh, maybe not Charlie Kohler. Okay.
Um, man, if this is regular PPR, I'd say Flowers for sure.
I'm still going Flowers.
Still on Flowers.
I am just not trusting Kyler against that Minnesota defense. I think he's going to struggle with the multiple blitzes, even though their cornerbacks are pretty weak. I'm going Zay Flowers. I think Baltimore's going to have to throw to keep up, and even in half PPR, that's what I'm going.
All right. As we approach the final 6 minutes of the show here, I want to again remind people we're going to get to as many questions as we can within the hour mark. But if you need us to get to that question, you need that question answered, hit that super chat option. We'd be happy to help. Jay Rena asking Marcus Jones, which was for he's on New England, is playing or Jonathan Cooper for the Broncos.
And on the next one, he says it's the IDP 1, 2, 3 format.
Yes.
I will go with Cooper on this because I do
That's
think
where
he
I
gets the sacks.
think. Yeah.
With the Colts, going against the Colts, I just don't know I don't know what's going to happen with the Colts. I don't know if they're going
The
to run
Colts don't know
heavy.
why.
They're going to have 40 plays, or they're going to have 60 plays. I feel
I'm,
safer picking Cooper.
I'm with you. I'm Cooper as well.
Yep, I'll make it a trio. The Browns aren't a bad matchup either. James can hold the ball a little bit too long sometimes. Caleb asking, good morning to you too. Full PPR, choose from two here. Ridley, Pollard, Brian Robinson, Najee, or Chubb. He was originally leaning towards Ridley and Pollard, but with Spears back, he's hesitant.
Spears hasn't changed
As
that.
yeah, as the day one lover of Tajay Spears, he is not factored into this offense this year.
No.
It's been wildly disappointed. And I don't really know why, but that's not for me to decide. That's for Brian Callahan to do what he's doing, and he's putting him in a Samaje Perine role. And not even. So full PPR, picking of, I think Ridley is probably a lock for us here in PPR. Right,
I'm fine with Pollard also. I think his initial gut was the way to go.
I'm considering Najee instead of Pollard slightly. Not because of the Spears, but strictly because of just the matchups and also diversifying off the Titans.
No Rankins, no Logan Wilson for Cincinnati, and their run defense hasn't been great with those guys as it is.
Yeah. I think I go Ridley and Najee.
That's where I'm leaning to as a result of that. I think that makes a difference for me.
I'm hanging with Pollard. Washington has not been good against running backs for fantasy, and Pollard is getting a lot of touches here in Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
that's my pick.
No, Pollard's been great. I think it's a nice little lesson to learn about our expectations of guys coming off serious injuries, and then a year later, maybe that's something where we see, we've seen Tony Pollard be a much different player this year than he was last year. Also, for another league here for Sam, thoughts on Adam Thielen as a sneaky start? He's thinking about playing him over Jawan Jennings or Rashad Bateman. I would go Rashad Bateman. Thielen, we know he's back on the field, but we also saw David Moore take a significant role last week, and he's been playing 85, 90% of snaps the last four. And obviously, you still have just a very questionable offense, even though Bryce Young is playing better. I still go Rashad Bateman. PPR, you could try to talk me into Thielen, but this
is a PPR, right?
Well, he says it's for another league, so I can't go back to.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm doing Thielen in this one. I'm not trusting Jennings in the snow, and
Bateman's touchdown.
Thielen was targeted a lot. There's like 2, if not 3, pass defenses called on Thielen where he was close to making catches on top of what he did do. That was his first game back. I'm going Thielen on this one.
So you're telling me Thielen's dropping the ball in contested catches?
No, I'm saying he was mugged. Cole Moss did a super chat, so let's find all the Cole Moss questions.
Good.
He's got 2 or 3 in here, it looks like.
Yes, he does. So let's go over here. Let's start with his first one. And he's got a loaded one. He just faced Brock Bowers, so he's kind of in a hole, as a lot of people probably are after Thursday night. He needs a running back, a wide receiver, and a flex. He's deciding between Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, and Terry McLaurin. Got to pick a running back, wide receiver, and then a flex.
Chase Brown is my running back, even against Pittsburgh.
Man, yeah, that's difficult.
It's between him and Hubbard.
Well, we really are not trusting the Jets in any way.
I think I'm playing both these
we're staying away from the Jets.
I'm playing both these receivers and I'm picking a running back. Terry McLaurin, C. Higgins, and then I'm trying to decide between that last running back.
The Tennessee cornerbacks are beat up, even though the defense has been playing it well overall. Darryl Baker, saw him chasing. Go ahead, Sean.
Jarvis Brownlee for Tennessee was the one who I think went up against Nico a lot last week. He's been solid, not stupendous. I'm a little scared of Terry, actually, in
Yeah, I
this
mean, I
matchup.
think we all have some level of fear about all these guys. You know, none of these guys are in ideal spots. These are all tough
I feel
matchups for everybody here.
right. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go Hubbard and Brown and then a receiver, or Brown, Higgins. Then what? I'm
Mm.
not
I,
sure.
yeah, I
I'm with
think
you
you
on
bring up.
Brown.
Yeah, so I think I'm in with Brown and Higgins, and then for me it's Hubbard in the flex over McLaurin.
I'm leaning Hubbard over McLaurin as well. I
I would
just
play both receivers and play Hubbard over Chase Brown. I, I, I mean, the Steelers' run defense is really, really good right now. And if we're talking about ceiling, I think there's a better chance Chuba Hubbard has a day against Tampa than Chase Brown does against Pittsburgh.
yeah.
But it's close,
We're
man.
we're
It's really
talking about. I mean, Brown's been playing so many snaps. He has been catching a lot of balls out of the backfield as well, which I think will make up some of the running game difference. That's why I was leaning in that direction.
yeah.
So we've definitely ruled out Hall,
Yeah.
and
This is
and then
crazy.
and we're all in on Higgins.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad call if you go Hubbard or Chase Brown here. You got the stats, or you got the snaps. I mean, with Chase Brown pretty much locked in. Chuba Hubbard, you should. I don't think Jonathan Brooks is going to be factoring in this year. He does also say, well, this is another league, so we'll just stick with this.
The last
Are
thing
we
I'll
all
give
sticking
him
with
to
Grant?
consider on McLaurin versus the other running back is that McLaurin's has had a lot of points from touchdowns. Last week was a disaster against the Cowboys, and he got lucky on that 85 yard touchdown late in the game. Otherwise, he would have had diddly poo. He's been so touchdown dependent, and it's because of that I'm going Hubbard, Brown, and Higgins.
I'm with Ricky. I am, because I am concerned. I have watched Jarvis Brownlee do pretty well against some better receivers. I just don't know if they will need McLaurin in this game very much. That's another thing I'm a little worried about.
Yeah, I'm only sticking with Terry McLaurin because I think this rushing attack is going to struggle. I think they're going to need to pass the ball a little bit more, well, maybe more than they've had to do in past weeks even. But yeah, I mean it's definitely a tough one. So I understand your concern there, Cole. He also says in his other league he doesn't know if he should be scared of Josh Allen in a snow game. He could replace him with Anthony Richardson or Justin Herbert. Definitely not with Anthony Richardson. Herbert is slightly tempting because I think they'll pass the ball more, and I love this matchup. But I'm still not benching Josh Allen, man. It's my must-win week. I'm riding my captain through the snowstorm. That man is born in the snow. That man, that man, give me all the Bane lines, but replace it with Josh Allen and snow. He was born in the snow.
I would actually switch out Herbert for Allen, given the
I don't
weather
hate,
concern,
don't hate it at all. I love Justin
particularly
Herbert.
against Atlanta, who can't generate a pass rush, should be able to stop the Chargers' run game without Dobbins. And so I just think this could be a huge Herbert game. So I would, because of the snow, I would do that. Because the other thing too, to the point we talked about snap count earlier, I think Sean brought it up, or maybe both of y'all did. The game in the snow, I could see a much slower pace, a lot more running, a lot of clock ticking, a lot less snaps on both offense and defense for both teams, both less than average. So, and yeah, do I think Allen could run for a lot and all? But yeah, there's some risk there. I'd rather go with Herbert.
If it was
I
any
like
other
that
team
call.
of Buffalo playing in the snow, I would be pivoting.
Yeah. I'm good with Herbert too. I don't trust Richardson for anything.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no pass rush by Atlanta. That's a good point. He's going to have the time. He's probably going to have to, it's going to be a Cousins Herbert shootout, right? That's what we're expecting.
That's part of the reason I'm on London.
That's right. He did also note that he is full PPR for that. If that changes anything for T Higgins or Chase Brown, that does give me a slight boost for Chase Brown a little bit. If we're talking dump downs against the Steelers pass rush, yeah, you could talk me into making it unanimous of switching off of Terry McLaurin for Chase Brown, which means Terry's going for 3 today. But yeah, so that's all we got for you guys. I know there's a few questions. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get to them all. But obviously, the super chat option, as you just saw with Cole, we're happy to help when we can. We just have so much to get to, and we have to go. I go in the order that they come in. It's only the only fair way to do it. But if you guys want to get that super chat in there, like Cole did, we're able to break it down as much as we can to help you guys with your Week 13 must-win matchups. Any final thoughts? Any final messages for those fantasy teams, our beautiful listeners out there that might need this win this week?
Well, it's 54 minutes before kickoff. And so one of the things I would advise everyone to do is look at your roster, see how many week 14 buys you have, get ahead of the waiver crowd. If there's someone you're definitely not playing this week and they're kind of near the end of your bench, look for someone who's not on bye for week 14 to replace them. So that would be my advice to you all, and part of the reason why y'all come to this show.
That was good advice, Ricky. I'm not topping that, so good luck.
I'll piggyback off of Ricky's and say take a look at for our defense leads, be able to use team defenses. That's where you can take a look on those matchups for next week. Get ahead of the waiver wire, like Ricky said. Great advice, and jump on the matchup. Who's playing Carolina next week? Who's playing the New York Giants? These questions have answers, and those answers can lead to fantasy points. So, thank you all for tuning in to this Week 13 issue of the Star Set Show here at IDP Plus. Be sure to subscribe, I say every single time I'm on here. We only have an hour to be doing these types of shows, but we have our Discord channels where we're able to answer questions like this all the time, plus Dynasty, plus whatever you have throughout the week, trade issues, all of that, as well as the amazing tools that Ricky has used on this show alone to help you guys make those decisions when we're not around to help. So you can brag to your friends with the tools here, and like Ricky said, a bunch of sales going on right now. Ricky, do you want to tell people about that?
Yeah, we got a 20% off promo going on right now with the code props. And once again, if you just want to experiment for even 1 month, I think it's like $9 for a month, and you may even be able to get the 20% off of that. So check us out. We got some great tools and great riders, and we got our rankings and just some fantastic stuff. And don't forget about our IDP Plus Bets channel as well. I mentioned on the IDP Advice Show a lot, but a lot of people are winning a lot of money off of our IDP Plus Bets channel and IDP Plus articles there too.
And between that plus the gift giving season is here. It's a perfect opportunity to give someone a tryout phase for this ahead of next season, ahead of the off season, ahead of everything that we're going to be able to do here at IDP Plus. So be sure to do that. Hopefully we'll see you soon in those channels. And if not, we'll be back next Sunday, as always, back for the Week 14 Star Sit Show. For now, I've been Michael Scully. You can follow me at Michael__Scully. Follow Sean here at Sean8386. And of course, follow Ricky here at RickyRod66. Follow IDP Plus on pretty much all social platforms at that handle, at IDP Plus. And we will see you guys next week. Best of luck with your matchups. Stay healthy, stay safe, and have a good weekend.